now for our spiritual edification. We have joining us Rabbi Mendel Kaplan. Good morning, Rabbi Kaplan. How are you today?
Good morning, Martin. Spiritual edification?
Yeah.
What does that mean? What are you looking for in English?
Well, in English, okay, I don't know. Basically, I guess a little bit of education, a little bit of...
I know that something that's edifying is satisfying. I'm not sure what the meaning of spiritual edification is.
Okay, well, that sounds good to me.
Sounded good. Okay, well, let's speak about sounds then. In this week's Torah portion, Parashat Vayetchanan, we have the restatement of Aseret HaDibrot, of the proverbial 10 Commandments. We talked about this many times. Of course, there are no 10 Commandments. There are 613 commandments. 248 of those are positive things we're supposed to do, and 365 are areas of proscription, or things we're not supposed to do. But there were 10 statements that God made to the Jewish people, and that took place at Har Sinai, Mount Sinai, 3,336 years ago. And when God gave us the Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu said that he spoke to us, Bahor, he spoke to us at the mountain, Mitoch ha'esh, out of the midst of the fire, ha'anan, the cloud, the ha'arafel, and the thick darkness, or the fog. And it was a kol gadol, it was a great voice that is described by Moshe Rabbeinu in this week's Torah portion, Parashat Vayetchanan, as Belo Yosef. And the Medrash describes several aspects of God's great voice, not to be confused with people who use the term great in a strange way today, but the idea of the great voice that did not cease amongst the Midrashic interpretations includes this concept that there was no echo. Now, how does the lack of an echo imply greatness? Ostensibly, one might argue that the mightier or more powerful a sound, the greater the echo. So if this was a great sound, there should have been a fantastic echo or reverberation. Well, the thing is this, the Rebbe once explained that when it comes to the giving of the Torah, the lack of resonance was not a sign of weakness, but rather a sign of strength. In fact, the lack of echo is not despite the power of that divine voice, but precisely because of the power of the sound of God's voice. That is to say, that when sound waves encounter a barrier that they can't pierce or penetrate, well, then they naturally bounce back, they echo or resonate. The more powerful the sound, the stronger the resonance or the echo. But what happens when the sound meets no barrier? Because it's able to be absorbed into the substance that it meets. Well, then in that case, there's no echo at all. And that's what we call today acoustical engineering. If you have hard surfaces in a room, you're going to get an echo. And eventually, if you have too much of hard surface, you're going to have a very, very poor quality of sound or sound control. And that's why today the acoustical engineers have things called wall panels, ceiling panels, basically soft fabric which absorbs the sound instead of enabling it to bounce back. When Hashem gave us the Torah, Martin, the great voice of God traveled without obstruction. The world absorbed the sound of God's voice. Instead of rejecting that sound or bouncing it back, there was no echo. Because, in truth, despite the fact that there seems to be a great deal of opposition against God and His people, at the core essence of creation itself is a receptivity for the voice of God. I know a lot of people are speaking about negativity these days, and I have to tell you that in my own personal experience, whilst it's not off my radar and I am concerned when I go in certain parts of our own great city of Toronto, and shame on our city for having created a circumstance, a situation where a visible Jew like myself might not feel comfortable, I have to tell you that in my personal experience, I have found quite the contrary. In fact, since we're talking about the receptivity of our neighbors and the world to a message of Torah and Yiddishkeit, I want to share something incredible that happened just last Friday night. I was walking to my son's home, and I was walking with my brother-in-law, who's the shliach in the Maritime Provinces, who lives in Halifax, and my son, Rabbi Shmuley, who works here with us at Chabad Flamingo. And I was sharing with them some incredible insights that I had successfully gleaned from a teaching of the Rebbe on last week's Torah portion. And specifically it was about the Haftorah. And I had repeated this Hasidic discourse a number of times. I shouldn't even say repetition. I had learned it time and again until I finally kind of was able to appreciate the deeper message. And I was sharing it with my brother-in-law and my son. And the three of us were, if you will, walking in lockstep on the same page, immersed in the same Torah ideas. And the strangest thing happened. A man stopped us, and he identified himself as an Iranian, not Jewish. And he said, your faces are glowing, he said. He said, you have a happiness, you have a joy. And he didn't speak English well. It was in halting English, like broken English. And he said, I had never seen anything like this. I just wanted to stop you and tell you that your faces are shining and you look so happy. And I was just amazed, because nobody's ever stopped me in the street, certainly a person I don't know at all, and certainly somebody who doesn't speak English well, to share something kind like that. It was almost as if this non-Jewish fellow from Iran was somehow taken by the image of three Jewish men walking together, sharing words of Torah. And I thought to myself, this is truly the reality of our world. Instead of focusing on the ugly voices and the bad stuff, let us focus on the overwhelmingly positive stuff. Many, many people, I think most, are still receptive to a message of Torah, to a message of Yiddishkeit. It's up to us to continue to broadcast that sound. And if we will, and if we do it faithfully, with trust in Hashem, and with a sense of joy and happiness, Ashreinu matov chalkeinu, at the lot that we have been given to study Hashem's Torah and share it with the world around us, I think that by and large, our neighbors will appreciate it, and they will appreciate for us for it, as it is written in this week's Torah portion, Ki hi chachmatchem ubinatchem le'enei ha'amim. The Torah, that is the source of your wisdom and your discernment and understanding in the eyes of the nation. The world will respect us when we respect ourselves. The world will appreciate us when we appreciate who we are, Hashem's special children, studying His Torah, performing His mitzvot, sharing that message with the world, and preparing ourselves and those around us for a wonderful new era that will be coming very, very speedily. And I pray in our days, the arrival of Mashiach b'mheira u'b'yameinu. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Rabbi Kaplan. Inspirational.
That's all for today. Have a beautiful day.